Hi, this is video 1-2. It's mountains. This is number 2 in our series, in the first series of videos. So what we begin with is magic white, and we also have titanium white on the palette. We have Prussian blue, and we have phthalo blue, and we have mountain mix. Now, if you do not have mountain mix, you can use equal amounts of Van Dyke brown and Prussian blue and add half of that amount of sap green and alizarin crimson, and it will give you a really pretty mountain mix. But today we're using the mountain mix. So I'm cutting across with my palette knife. See that little row on the end of it? That's what we're going to start with. And you don't want to ever have the center of your tallest mountain right in the center of your canvas. You want to have things off-centered. So I'm going to start it right here. See where I'm starting my mountain? And I'm pulling it down like this. Now, when we put this on, we're using pressure. So we're going to bring it over like this. See how that's working? Now, we're going to pull this down into the canvas like this. And we'll add on some more mountains. So we're pulling across it again. And maybe we'll put a little short one over here, shorter than it is. And we'll bring that down like that. The top edge of your mountain is the most important right now. Let's put another one over here. We don't want them to be exactly the same size, because if we have them the same height up, it makes them look awkward. So we're putting this one over on this side. And maybe we'll add another little one over here just to give us some emphasis. And I don't like even numbers, so I'm going to add another one on this side. Now, what we will do is take this and we're going to scrape this paint out. See how and this, we don't want too much paint left on the canvas for the mountains. So this is how we are scraping them out. Now, we will use a 2-inch brush. And for some reason, I don't have an old t-shirt or a towel in my hand. Well, now I do. So I'll wipe that palette knife out. I don't know if y'all realize the price of paper towels right now, but it's gotten to be astronomical. So I've gone back from whence I came. Mr. Jim Cyphers in Port Gibson, Mississippi taught me how to paint. And he always used an old cloth or an old towel or something like that to wash the brush, to wipe the brushes on. Now, if I use a paper towel, like I did when I was putting the magic white onto the canvas, I use Vivas. So if not, I'm using these days. Okay, so now I am taking the 2-inch brush, I'm pressing into this and I'm moving it. See how I'm moving mountains? Isn't that clever? So, if only I had that kind of power, huh? So now, we are doing another one, and we're spreading this paint out. We don't want to have too much on the canvas. So here we go again, spreading this out. And we're kind of deciding how we want these mountains to go. Now, that may not be the end result. We may decide to change them as we go. But right now, this is the way we're laying them in. We're bringing that down like that. Now, we will need to clean this brush. Let's tap into it a little just to soften this harsh edge here. And now later, when we're tapping into them after we put some more paint on here, we'll want to tap in the direction the mountain lays. But right now, we're going to wipe this out, and we would clean our brush and dry it off. However, because of time, and because I teach a lot, I have quite a few brushes. So I'm going to reach over, get another brush, so when we need it, I will have it handy. Now, I'm going to use a palette knife, the large palette knife, and I'm going to cut across the titanium white. Now, this does not have any magic white in it. We want it to be thick so that as we flow, it breaks loose against the the background, because we want to be able to see the background through the titanium white, because that shows us that the mountain has crevices in it and holes. And in the part of California that I lived, almost all the time you would see certain areas where you could see the valleys and the mountains, and the it just looks more natural. So I'm going to start with this one that is further back than all the rest. So, and if you see my palette knife, I have a little row I cut across. And now, maybe I won't start with that. Maybe I'll start with this one over here because it's behind. So and when you do this, it's softly, tenderly, gently, 3 hairs and air. See how it started to break loose right there? Now, that's exactly the way we want it to do. So we're showing where the paint is only on the ridges and not down, or I guess we're showing where it's full and some of the rocks are sticking through in real life. Okay, so now we're coming along here, and I use the other side of the palette knife, the little small edge. See, this is where I was painting that. Now for this, I'm using it on that side, and I'm using this little mountain right here, and I'm just pulling it like that. Now, when we start to do this one, we want to have more paint on it than that. And so I am using the other side, and I am coming down, because this side is what we want to make sure that we have the light shining on. And see how we brought that down? Now we're wiping that off of our brush. We're cutting across again. And I want to come down on this side over here. So we're starting at the very top and softly, tenderly. 3 hairs and air. And see how that's starting to break? Isn't that pretty? And we want a little more. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So now we're cutting across, and we're starting with the tall mountain. Softly, tenderly, 3 hairs in air. It's like if you were outside and something caught your eye and a feather fell down on your hand or your arm, and it was so soft you weren't sure it was there. That's how you want to do this. No pressure at all. Softly, tenderly, 3 hairs in air. So as we start here, we're touching, and as we're coming down, we're just letting that knife hit here and there. See how easy that was? Now we're going to put a little more in here. So we're starting up here, and then we're softly, tenderly, 3 hairs in air. And can you see the difference in that? How it shows where there's more snow and less snow, and I'm sure you can. So let's come down here and add a little more to this mountain, because this is going to be our predominant mountain. And so we're bringing it over like that. Isn't that pretty? Of course, you can tell I love mountains, huh? All right, so now we're going to bring this from here, and we're pulling it down just like that. Softly, where it's just hitting very gently. Isn't that neat? Look how that's standing up there. Now, we're going to take on our palette, and we are taking some Prussian blue, adding it to this white. Now, we're giving it probably a little heavier color so that it will show up more than you would. And you can use any color that when you look at the mountain, or you look at a picture of a mountain, whatever color you see in the shadow, sometimes it's dark sienna or maybe Van Dyke brown you want to add a little to. It doesn't have to be blue for it to be a shadow. And some mountains, even alizarin crimson with a little phthalo blue, gives you that purple hue like desert mountains have. Okay, so now I've got that row on the end of my knife, and I'm going to start with this one back here. And of course I put it on the wrong side, sorry. So see how I've got it on this one now? And what I do when I start this, I push up into the mountain and then I come down. Look at that. And if you'll notice, I pull some of that snow down into the mountain, so it gives it just that little bit of texture right down through there. Now we are going to do this again. Pull some across there. And now right in here, if you have some left over on the end of your palette, you may want to wipe it off. Okay, so now we're pushing into here and we're pulling this down. And we're pulling it straight across there. Wipe this off, cut across again. And now we just want to make sure we don't have any excess. And we want to bring this right across the top of that mountain. And see how we set that mountain to the back just a little bit? Now we are picking up some more. I'm having to mix just a little because we want it to be very predominant. Okay, and so now, right over here, we're pushing in and we're bringing this down softly. See how that's starting to break up? Isn't that pretty? Same thing here. Just softly, tenderly. 3 hairs in air. Now, this little one here, we're going to push up into it and bring it down. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so we'll have to add a little more white to that one, but right now we're going on with this. So I'm continuing to add a little Prussian blue into this because we want this darker color in here. Okay, and so right here, we're pushing up into that snow and see how it makes it look softly, tenderly. 3 hairs in air just creeping down the mountain. See that? Now we're cutting across that again, and we're bringing it right into here and doing the same thing. We're wiping this palette knife, and we're going to cut across the titanium white now. Now, a lot of times when we will use titanium white, we will add some of that liquid white oil to it, but not when you're doing mountains. You want it to be as heavy as it comes out of the tube, and that way it will break good for you. If you start making it thinner, then it makes it smoother, so that's not the technique you want right here. Okay, so now, right up here, let's go right into here. Watch what we're going to do right here. Now, we're going to pull up into that and see how we change the look of that mountain. Now, watch us pull it down here. And we'll go softly, tenderly, 3 hairs in air. There we go. All right. And now, right in here, we're going to do it again. And right down here. Now, right down this side over here, we want to make that little tip at the top a little more predominant than it is. So, we're going to push into it, and then here we come right down, and we're softly breaking it. And now, and right over here, we're doing the same thing, and we're coming right across that and softly. See how we're pulling that paint softly across that? We're setting that mountain back. Same over here. We're going to give a little bit darker blue in there, to set this mountain just right in here. See how we're setting that other one just behind it a little. Now, what we need to do here, we need to put a little more of your white into this area. Anytime you're trying to demonstrate mountains, they never do exactly the way you want them to, so you have to improvise a little. So right into here, I'm adding some more. Look at it coming in there. Yeah. Now see, right in this area, we may have some little hills and valleys, and so let's push in just a little right in there. And we're making a little, see how that's working for us? Now, you know, a lot of these will not show when we get through, but we like to put them in to add interest. And then here we go, right in here. So anyway, that really kind of gives it a little more of a to the mountains than what you thought it would be. So let's add a little white right down this side here, just to give it just that little more. And we're swiping over just a little with it to soften that. Now, I hope you like this. What we're going to do now is set the mountains in. We want to take a 2-inch brush, wanted to make sure it was clean. And now we're going to tap in it in the direction the mountain flows. This gives it a mist around it and it sets it back into the painting. So here we go, we're tapping like this. And of course my easel is shaking and making noise. So see how these mountains are flowing in this direction? That's exactly what we're doing. And now as we go over here, we're going to start in this direction. Right at the foothills is where you really want to make this softer. Now, so you don't forget my name, I'm Julliette Salter. I'm a certified Ross instructor. I'm bringing this video to you today. And please, if you have any questions or if you want to paint along, please let me know. You have my email address and I'll be happy to let you know. I'm going to show it to you right quick before I close. And let's see if I can show it there. Here's my information. So please let me hear from you. Have a wonderful day. I hope it's filled with lots of love and laughter. See you next time. Bye.